Yesterday, we went a little deeper into the concept of yajna, how central it is to life itself. If you take a look at nature, every element in nature seems to function in a spirit of yajna, seems to have fallen in line with this Vedantic concept of yajna. Whether it is in the cosmos, in our environment, other species, everyone effortlessly seems to be able to follow and act in a spirit of yajna, service and sacrifice. Every morning the sun rises and every evening it sets. It has no selfish motive. It doesn't expect anything from us. It just one-sidedly gives heat and light because it must. Have you ever heard of anyone getting an energy bill from the sun? And then every element in nature you find works harmoniously, homogeneously, happily. When the nightingale sings, does it seem to be in stress? When the stars come out into the night sky, do they seem to be in stress or depression? So therefore, the moment you function in a spirit of yajna, you get elevated into a state of joy, cheer, irresistible energy. It is only the human being who has a selfish motive. Only the human being deviates from yajna, and therefore only the human being suffers from depression and stress. It's a sad reflection on life that in spite of the development in science and technology, antidepressants are the largest selling drugs in the developed world. And so it is that yajna is central to our life. If in these 5 days we go home with just this one concept, YTD formula. You know, nowadays it's the age of slogans. And so if you say yajna, tapa, dana, you'll say it's old-fashioned. So you convert it into YTD formula, you remember it. So today, let's take a look at tapas. Now, once you fix a higher ideal for yourself, once you're motivated to serve, to sacrifice, once you have stepped out of the narrow confines of just I, me, myself, and take a larger perspective on things, it's elevating, no doubt, but it must be followed up with tapas, hard work. Tapas is translated as energy, heat, austerity, penance. In modern times, it can be viewed as discipline. Tapas is the capacity in us to conserve energy, our energies, by preventing its dissipation into unproductive channels and redirecting these energies that you have conserved towards achieving the ideal. Tapas is effort. Every field requires effort, hard work. Even though tapas is central again to the Indian culture, in modern times, it is the Westerner who seems to have done more tapas. So what is this tapas? Yesterday I happened to watch after the lecture and I returned an interview given by the 16-year-old tennis player, the star from Chennai. What's his name? Yuki Bhambre. And in the interview, he said he was talking about the extreme discipline required to excel in tennis. In fact, he said he goes to the gym for something like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, precisely to develop the muscles that are required for tennis. It is narrowed down so sharply to just the muscles that are required for tennis. And he says the equipment that is required for this is no longer available in India, is not available. Because tennis is not as popular a sport as cricket or other sport. He has to watch his diet. He has to watch what time he sleeps, how many hours of sleep he gets. He has to watch, it is, when you listen to it, it seems torturous. And yet for him, it's a pleasurable thing. How does the tapas, the penance, the austerity become a pleasure? Because you have fixed a goal for yourself, and anything that takes you towards the goal, you find exhilarating, energizing. You don't consider it a pain. An actor was describing her life, and she said, for the last 10 years, I have not been able to eat what I wanted to eat. I haven't even been able to eat the quantity that I need to eat. So in other words, I've been starving for the last 10 years. I've gone through 2 very painful surgeries to look the way I look. And my anxiety is, and she's no longer that young. So she says, my anxiety is someday, in spite of all the surgeries and all the facelifts and this, that, and the other I go through, someday I'm going to go old. And no one's going to want me anymore. Tapas. A musician has to just do riyaz and riyaz. Riyaz means practice. It's no fun. The riyaz is not fun. So what happens is, when you look at a person who has excelled, you only see the awards. You only see the adoration, the adulation, the success that comes to the person. You don't see the tapas that has gone behind it. Today we are in an age where everyone wants quick results, quick fixes. So the younger generation wants success without having done the tapas. That's not possible. In the last few days we have seen the Oscar awards, and more so because a movie that's closer to home has got the awards. So when you see the people go up on stage and accept, they give their acceptance speeches and they carry that statuette, you don't see the hard work, the grueling work that has gone behind it. So tapas is necessary. Tapas has been highlighted because tapas, in a way, is the investment that goes towards achieving the object. You don't see the return. Now in tapas what happens is, you pursue it for the sheer love of it. Similarly, in spiritual life, you have to do tapas. If you want to improve spiritually, you have to wake up at a time which is conducive for sattvic qualities to develop, which is 4 to 6 a.m. You know it all. Whether you are awake at that time is the question. Every morning when you wake up at 4 a.m., believe me, when the alarm goes, you feel like and go rolling over and going back to sleep. But if you resist that temptation, that is tapas. And sit down and struggle with the concepts that are given in the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, Vedanta. Initially it's a pain. Later, the effort itself becomes highly enjoyable. So you enjoy the effort. The effort itself becomes enjoyable. Then you have to exercise your body. So do yoga, go out for a walk, whatever it is. Even that is painful. You see, every aspect of tapas, there is a slight resistance in the beginning. So after you've studied, you feel sleepy, and you say, I'll do yoga tomorrow. If you succumb, the tomorrow never comes. Same thing with going for a walk. But once you go, It's so fulfilling. I can't explain to you how exhilarated you feel when you follow through the disciplines correctly in the right dosage, and at the end of the day, you feel like a king. Then, throughout the day, you must always maintain this attitude of service and sacrifice. Every moment of your life, remind yourself, I am in this world. My only mission in life is to serve. That's tough. There's an effort required there because the natural tendency, the gravitational pull of selfishness is there. So whatever you do, even in spiritual, the tendency is to bring the I into the picture. And the tapas in spiritual life is just this, to keep away your selfishness and keep yourself focused on the higher at all times. And then just before you retire, to expose yourself to some devotion, some uplifting music, and then you've completely unwound and you're ready to retire. This is spiritual life. Every aspect of this is effort. But you gain the result. You surely gain the result. You keep putting in tapas, and an important aspect of tapas, later in the 18th chapter he says, you should pursue it, pursue your goal with dhriti and utsaha. Dhriti, consistency of purpose, doggedness. Keep at it, never give up. There will be obstacles along the way. You might fail. There are times when you don't do as well. Pick yourself up over and over again and keep going. Consistency is important. And this consistency must be applied with utsaha, enthusiasm. Every morning you must wake up with this enthusiasm for tapas, not indulgence. The moment you indulge in any field, you just slide. The slide is so drastic. Take a look at people. You know, a sports person puts in hard work and comes up. By the time he or she wins a few awards, then we all spoil them. Like Sania Mirza, you get after them, the media gets after her, and she's on all the fashion magazines. And before you know it, the attention is shifted from tennis to fashion. And then you're out. Then again you pick up the pieces and say, okay, I must put in hard work. That's why the spiritual path, or any path for that matter, to excellence is described as a frog's leap. You take 3 steps, one mighty leap, and then you stay there for a couple of hours. That's what the frog does. And then sometimes hops back, takes another few quick steps, stays put for maybe 6 hours, again takes one mighty leap forward. That's our progress, or the lack of it. 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward. But a person who pursues it with dhriti and utsaha achieves the result and acquires power. You look at anyone who has put in tapas, hard work, in any field of endeavor, there is an aura, there's a glow around that personality, which comes from putting in that intensity of effort, hard work. And Shiva represents the highest quality of tapas. The moment you mention Lord Shiva, you associate Shiva with tapas. He is referred to as the greatest tapasvi. That's why when Shivaratri comes, like the other day, you're supposed to fast. Now, not the kind of fast that we do. You know what fast we do? It's not fast at all, it's feast. All you do is eat a different kind of food, which is heavier, tastier. I don't know on what basis you call that a fast. Change, correct. Just change. But a true tapasvi is one who just follows what needs to be done. Whatever, it is not self-torturing practices. Please don't misunderstand that. Tapas is only to achieve your objective. Once you fix a higher ideal in life, whatever that be, then you're completely focused on what will take me there fastest. And you're willing to do what it takes to get you to that objective. Anything that takes you away from the goal, you say no to. Initially, it may be a little painful, but as you go along, you find that itself so enjoyable, the effort itself enjoyable, the path so enjoyable, that of your own accord, even your own mind doesn't want to deviate into indulgence, because you know you have to pay a high price for it. So, yajna, tapas, and tomorrow we'll discuss this fascinating concept of dana. What is dana? And how do we go about practicing that quality? But for now, we'll move to verse 16.